Hello and welcome to the Grow Patiently podcast. My name is Hugo Trace. I'm your host for today. This podcast is all about meeting fantastic healthcare leaders such as Dr. Aron Rovner, who we're here with today, to hear about their stories and hear about how they've been so impactful with their practices. So let's dive straight in. Dr. Aron, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Dr. Aron Rovner. I am an orthopedic surgeon. I am board certified. I have a specialty in spine surgery. For the last 22 years, I've been practicing orthopedic spine surgery, but also general orthopedic surgery, treating patients with knee injuries, shoulder injuries, hip injuries. I focus my practice on minimally invasive procedures, such as arthroscopic treatment of knee problems such as meniscus tears, ACL tears, in the shoulder, rotator cuff tears. Now, I do also big surgeries, fusions of the spine, fusions of the neck and back, but I try to focus probably 80% of my practice is on minimally invasive procedures that require minimal blood loss, quick recovery, and short hospital stays.
Great. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for being here. So before we dive into your practice, which I'm really interested to hear more about because I know that you've got an interesting angle that you're taking in the modern world, uh, I like to ask this question about New Jersey, which is where your business is based. So tell me, let's say I've never been to New Jersey and I go there for the first time. I'm with my wife. What should I do? Where should I go? What do I have to experience, eat, drink, maybe, to really experience the area?
Okay, so about New Jersey. I actually started my practice in New York, and it started out in Long Island, New York, Nassau County, probably about 50 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, from Manhattan. So 50 minutes to an hour east driving. And I had that practice since 2010. Over time, because I live in Manhattan, New York City, I decided to also practice in New Jersey. New Jersey is a different environment. It's actually faster for me to get to my office in New Jersey than to get to my office in Long Island, again, depending on the traffic. So I opened up a second office probably about 6 or 7 years ago. This is before the whole COVID fiasco. So New Jersey happened, and New Jersey has a different kind of demographic than New York. New Jersey patients, I see a lot of um, government union workers, shall we say, teachers, police officers, longshoremen, firefighters, and a lot of blue-collar, hardworking patients that just happen to have over time worsening knee problems or back problems, neck problems, all of the above. That I've had for quite some time. So New Jersey started about 6 or 7 years ago. Over the last 5 years, I added a third, and the third being Florida, South Florida. There's an incredible amount of energy and movement right now in the United States, especially from the East Coast to the southern area. Florida is a big one. Florida is getting a massive amount of energy, people, restaurants, businesses, for a variety of reasons, which is probably a different type of a podcast. But to keep it simple, there just is a lot of energy coming into South Florida. And so I decided to move my practice because, COVID stopped a lot of energy happening, a lot of businesses, including medicine, in the New York and New Jersey area. So our family decided to spend more time in South Florida. And now that South Florida is a 2.5 to 3 hour flight from New York, it was not, in my opinion, a major shift. It was a long drive. And by the way, an easier drive or an easier commute because you could be on a flight and I could be doing work. I have Wi-Fi. I could connect to my office. I could connect to patients. Not a problem. My family and I decided that Florida would be a great third location. So since COVID, since 2020, 2021, we shifted our personal, our family energy, our family presence in South Florida, with the idea of keeping my presence in New York and New Jersey. And how did that happen?
I see. Okay, so that's a little different. So you'll have to give me a recommendation about South Florida then. What do I do if I go down there? Where's the restaurant I've got to go and hit up?
I need a little bit more knowledge about you. What kind of food do you like? What kind of environment do you like? Uh,
Okay. I
are
mean, I
you
like pretty much anything because I live in London, so it's all very, very broad. Uh, I like to eat Caribbean food, for example.
okay? We have Caribbean food because we're close to the Caribbean. So
Yeah,
we have Little Havana, not too far from us. We have in a similar way that it is in New York. So New York is divided into neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods are very, um, shall we say, they're very cultural. So you have Chinatown and you have Little Italy, right? And then you have the East Village, you have the West Village. It's almost like going into a small city. I mean, you could walk within 2 or 3 blocks and you're in a completely different environment. You go
mm,
down to Chinatown in New York and you feel completely different than 2 blocks away. You're in Little Italy, and we have the San Gennaro Festival, and we have very old school Italian American. And then you go up to the upper east side of Manhattan, and it's very German, right? And Brooklyn
interesting.
is similar, but even more spread out. So Florida is not that much different. Okay, not all of Florida, but the Miami area of Florida. We
Yeah.
have a lot of people from Venezuela and from Cuba. And now, I would say, since the last 5 years or so, we're getting a lot of Europeans, from all over. So we have close personal friends who are from Germany and Austria. We have other friends who are from Switzerland. We have quite a few people. Actually, we have a drove of people from the UK, droves. In fact, there's one, the real estate agent that we're very friendly with. She was in London for many years, and she shifted down here, and now she's the main real estate agent that are for
The
the
Brits coming.
that are coming to Miami, and we have quite a few. So now with all of these people coming in from all these different environments, you're getting a new demand for everything. So I guess you'd say that maybe even now, and it's getting much better, Florida, especially South Florida, has a bit of a reputation for not being the most efficient when it comes to work, right? So you're building a business, you're doing construction, you're doing something in your home. Sometimes there's a little bit of rolling of the eyes. That's just the way it is. That's changing. It's changing. And the reason it's changing is because there's a demand for change. When people are coming in, they're
Mm,
expecting a certain amount of, shall we say, United States Northeastern culture. And that includes the restaurants, that includes the schools, and that includes all the businesses. So the bottom line, the most important point is that there's an amazing amount of energy coming into South Florida, and I'm a huge proponent. Now, that does not mean that I am going to take any amount of energy away from what I'm doing in New York and New Jersey. It just means I'm able to become way more efficient with my time. I'm
mm.
able to become way more efficient instead of spending 8 hours in an office seeing patients back to back to back. I'm able to provide in my practice the kind of discussions that I have now with you with patients. So what I've done in the last 5 years is expanded the horizon of what I'm doing. Instead of sitting in an office and seeing patients and having those patients wait for me, take hours out of their day, hours away from their family, I'm able to be more respectful of that patient's day and start the process of whatever kind of treatment it has to be on a video screen. And that's something that we've done for the last 5 years that I believe was a direct connection of what we started to deal with COVID. COVID occurred 5 years ago. Well, how could I see my doctor? Everybody's sick with COVID. Everybody's wearing a mask. The government said stay home. But guess what? My knee hurts. My shoulder hurts. What are you going to do? Well, that was one of the positives that came out of the COVID experience, the ability to do many, many things more, at the comfort of your home. And it was not just the comfort of your home or the comfort of your office per se, but the ability to become much more efficient with your time.
Yeah, well, this is the key point, isn't it? That the business move that you've recently made, not to South Florida, but the change in the way that you're approaching things is really, really interesting. So let's hear more about that. Thanks for the recommendation. I don't know whether I really clearly got one. It does make me interested in what the Brits are bringing over, whether they're bringing like baked beans and sausages or
No, they're not doing
eels
that.
and
They're not
mash.
doing.
Probably not.
They're not doing that. But I didn't give you a specific recommendation.
No, no,
But if
it's
you
fine. I
told
was
me, for
just pulling your
example,
leg.
that you like to eat steak, we have great steak restaurants. And
Yeah,
here's an example. Probably one of the biggest restaurant companies out of New York is the Major Food Group. And Major Food Group is they run restaurants such as Carbone, which is like this very eclectic, but a little bit old style Italian type of restaurant that's been in New York for, I guess, over 10 years. Well, they're 2 blocks away
they're
from
in there.
they're two
Yeah,
blocks away from
The Italian culture element in America it fascinates me. I don't know too much about it. That's definitely a topic for another occasion, but it is of interest to me. Okay, so yeah, let's focus in on your business. Why don't you tell the listeners about the opportunity that you saw to change the way that patients are seeing their doctors and what kind of like why you did that and what kind of impact that's having?
Yes. So 2020, 2021 comes around and everybody's staying in. There's just a lot less going on, a lot less energy in general, and that includes medicine. And that included my practice, and that included all the kind of surgeries that I was doing. So when we came down to South Florida, we still had patients in New York and New Jersey, in my two different offices, and I had to give them access to care, whether it was a back problem, knee problem, whatever it was. I wanted to make sure that the line of communication was it stayed. Okay, they knew that their doctor was available for them as needed. So I started seeing a lot of those patients. Actually, it had started before we moved to Florida on Zoom calls, just like this. Now, can I touch a patient's knee? No. Can I touch a patient's shoulder? No. But could a patient say, my pain started 2 weeks ago with a snowboarding injury and it hurts right here, and I could see swelling in their knee, and I could ask them to walk, and I could see if they have a limp. I could ask them to make their knee straight and bend it, and I could see, okay, they have limited range of motion, and I could see that their pain is primarily in one location. It's on the medial or lateral side. Okay, I could see that, and I could make a significant assessment of what their problem was. So even from a Zoom call, such as we are on now, I could make a approximate initial diagnosis and start the process of whatever has to be done, whether it is physical therapy, whether it is NSAIDs such as Advil or Naproxen or any other NSAID that we use, whether it's activity modification. I gave my patients the ability for effective communication with their doctor without having to see them in the office, without them having to come see me with a mask on, being exposed to other people. That I've continued to expand. So now I have plenty of patients. COVID is not a big deal anymore, or it's not a big deal in most of our communities. Okay, so it's much more well controlled. The patients still don't want to take a half a day off of work. They still don't want to take a half a day away from their family. They still don't want to wait 3 weeks or more for an appointment. Well, they can see me on a Saturday afternoon. They could see me on a Saturday afternoon for a 15-minute follow-up or 30-minute follow-up, which is easy for them. They didn't have to take time away from their family. I could make an initial assessment, I could start the process of conservative treatment. They failed conservative treatment. Okay, we could take it to the next step. I can order an X-ray. I can order an MRI. The alternative is, well, they have to make an appointment with me, come see me. Okay, physical therapy, come back in 4 weeks. X-ray, come back in 2 weeks. MRI, come back in 2 weeks, and so on and so forth, each time taking a half a day off of work. Now, if a patient wants that, that's okay. We provide that as well, because I do provide inpatient office hours, not as much as I used to, but enough for the demand of the patients that need to see me or want to see me. So with being able to communicate with patients in New York and New Jersey, I'm in South Florida right now. I opened up a clinic. I opened up an office in South Florida as well. So now, as a solo provider, I'm able to provide care in 3 different states.
Mm-hmm.
And the key to what I'm doing is providing what I strive to give is exceptional care. And so what is exceptional care? Exceptional care is a combination of what I perceive or what I define as exceptional care as a physician, based on my training, based on my medical school and all the years of experience that I had. But not only that, exceptional care is also the perception of the patient. So if I provide exceptional care and a patient has a shoulder problem or a knee problem or a back problem, or whatever it happens to be, and I think that, wow, the patient got better in this amount of time and has this amount of less pain or much less pain or much better activity, that's not enough. For me, exceptional care is also the perception of the patient. Did that patient have an exceptional experience with me, with my office, even though they saw me on a Zoom call, even though they did not see me physically? So to me, that is what I consider exceptional care. And how am I judging that? Well, a few ways. First of all, it's follow-up. If a patient is satisfied with their treatment, they will follow up. Their knee pain got better, it didn't get better, they will follow up. If a patient's not satisfied or happy with their care, they're not going to follow up. They'll search out other doctors. And they will say, well, you know, I don't want to go back to the old way, and I want to see the patient in the office. And over the last several years, I've seen that the vast majority of patients, vast majority, small sliver have not, the vast majority have followed up. The second way I'm judging it is reviews. Every patient is asked for a review, Google reviews. And we see exactly how patients are feeling. And they could give us anything that they want. They can give us a 1-star to a 5-star. And my focus is 2 things. It's exceptional care from the doctor's perspective, and it's exceptional care from the patient's perspective. That is our standard for practicing medicine, for practicing orthopedic surgeries or orthopedic medicine. I don't want to say surgery because I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but the majority of the patients I'm able to treat without surgery.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting angles you have, because what we often talk about is marketing the business as well. And you have 2 great things. One being that you're a surgeon who isn't necessarily trying to opt everyone into surgery. And that's something that I've worked, or I do currently work with an orthopedic surgeon as well, and they do PRP and stem cell and things like that. And that's really an interesting angle to tell people, because I know some patients feel, oh, they're just going to push me into surgery because that's what they do. And so you get to completely destroy that, and meet them exactly where they are and say, look, we can do everything essentially. And then the other angle you have is that you're really trying to keep up with the times, that you're available at any point and in these 3 states. So I think that's really great. One of the questions I wanted to ask you about how you have this exceptional care while being on Zoom. How do you do that? How do you make sure? Because I know some people will be listening thinking, I reckon that's quite difficult to do on a Zoom. And I'd be interested, well, what are your tips?
Okay, so the first thing is what you have to address clearly what you could and what you can't do on Zoom. So if a patient came into my office, I'm having a conversation. So the assessment starts out with a history. Go to medical school, first year, history and physical. History and physical. So history is uh, Miss So-and-so, Miss Smith, Mr. Smith, what are you here for? When did it start? What have you done so far? Okay, when did it start? How bad is the pain? So on and so forth. So the history. That's no problem on Zoom. That is identical versus as opposed to seeing a person in person. What are the limitations? Well, the physical is a partial limitation. So that is a partial limitation, meaning I can't put my hand on your shoulder. I can't put my hand on your knee or your back or your neck. What I could do is I could ask you, where is your pain? And you could say, and so what I'll do is I will, for example, if I'm examining a shoulder, I will have the patient lift both shoulders, good and bad, over their head in a forward way. So forward flexion all the way up. And I could immediately see the painful shoulder that is not moving the same way. Now I do abduction, a different range of motion. Which shoulder has less motion? That's something I could do on a Zoom call. I could also ask, very commonly I'll say, sir, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith, take one finger and show me where the pain is the worst, where it's the maximum amount of pain. Tell me when that happens. Is it when you're standing? Is it when you're walking? Is it when you're lying down? Is it when you're in front of a computer? So now I'm not able to touch the patient, but I'm able to localize where the pain is. I'm also able to see the range of motion. I'm also able to do many other things in a similar fashion. The only limitation is I'm not able to touch the patient, but I am able to get a lot of information. If a person, for example, had a knee problem and they can't bend their knee, I could see that they can't bend their knee immediately. If the patient has swelling in their knee, I could see that they're swelling immediately. If there was a situation, and it happens very, very rarely, where I was suspect of a fracture or a major injury such as that, that's just a different story. That patient goes to the emergency room, gets an X-ray, gets an assessment in an emergency environment. That is a rare situation. If I suspected of an infection, for example, that patient's a different story. That's not what we're talking about. I could also see that patient on a Zoom call, and I could see erythema or redness. I could assess the fact that they had a temperature and so on. I could also assess the fact of how they're moving their knee. And okay, that turns into the algorithm. Okay, you have to go to the emergency room immediately. That's also a benefit of me seeing a patient on Zoom, because the alternative is go to the emergency room, spend countless hours in an emergency environment, and have an emergency room doctor, not an orthopedic surgeon, assess your knee or your shoulder. With my experience as an orthopedic surgeon, no, I'm not able to touch you, but I could assess redness in a knee. I could assess the fact whether the patient has a potential infection or a fracture or things of that nature. Okay, so I could say, this is time for you to go to the emergency room. But a significant percentage, 80% of the time, when they think that they have something like that, it's really not. It's like, okay, we're going to take it in stride. We're going to start with physical therapy, activity modification, and so on. So, okay, so the physical therapy is a limitation. What's not a limitation? Well, you have to start physical therapy. I just started you on a physical therapy process within a day of you having an injury versus 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever it is to get an appointment with taking time off of work. I started the process of whether it's physical therapy or activity modification or analgesics, non-steroidals, pain medication, whatever it happens to be. I started it now versus when you happen to have made an appointment. That's a huge advantage. The physical therapy works. The conservative treatment works. No problem. Shake your hands. Mr. or Mrs. Smith, great to see you. We're here for you anytime you need you. Alternative, my knee still hurts. My shoulder still hurts. Okay, now we're going to get an X-ray or an MRI. Okay, now we have an X-ray and MRI. You could have had that as an assessment in my office or not, or not. Why do you have to come to my office for me to tell you your knee is still swollen, your knee is still painful, you could still not walk, you can't walk without pain more than a block and a half, you can't move your shoulder. Why do you have to come to my office, take a half a day off of work,
Pay for parking.
pay for parking, and on, when you could have been with your family, you could have been at work? Now, if you want to, you can. We provide that as well, but that is a small sliver of my patient demographic currently.
Yeah, I think it's great, to be honest. I've had a few occasions where I've been to people, and then it's certainly the follow-up has been on Zoom. And when the first time that happened, I thought, why is not everyone doing this if there is a window for it? Because it saves so much time. The only difference is if you are someone who maybe is lacking some elements of social interaction, you might like things like that, going to visit your doctor. But yeah, it's really interesting what you said about basically one of the main things I picked out from that was the being really clear about what can be done and what can't be done. I guess like anything in healthcare, when you really let everyone know exactly what the parameters are, patients tend to have a far greater, or better experience because they're less fearful. Um, so that's really interesting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you are foreseeing getting more patients into the business with this new angle? How are you letting people know? How are you attracting them?
Well, that's a great question. And there's a few ways that we're doing that. The first is word of mouth. So that's the old style. Patients will tell their friends, patients will tell their family members. So that's one. And that includes my practices currently in New York and New Jersey. And it also includes the patients or people or my friends and family from my own community in South Florida. That's one. Second is there are quite a few online platforms that allow a physician like me to spread the word, to market what I'm doing. There's one particular platform called ZocDoc, ZocDoc. And ZocDoc provides a platform for a patient, whether it's New York, New Jersey, or wherever I happen to be practicing, to find me, to set up a video visit. And it's clear. So what's interesting about ZocDoc is they allow me to put in my profile exactly what insurances I work with and what insurances I don't work with. It allows me to put in my profile my experience, my education. It allows me to put in my profile what patients I'm seeing in person or with a video visit. Meaning not Zoom, it's actually their platform, but it's very similar. Okay, so that is unique, and that is one significant avenue of referrals that I get. So a patient knows immediately, okay, this is going to be a video visit. Patient knows I have insurance X. Dr. Rovner takes insurance X. So it makes it very convenient. And the patient will see that I am providing visits, video visits, or in-person visits, because I do both using ZocDoc, on whatever time it happens to be. So if I say, listen, I have 4 hours that I'm going to allocate to patients on a Saturday or a Sunday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. or something like that, I could do that, and a patient sees it immediately and books an appointment. That's one. So we said word of mouth. We said ZocDoc. Google is another major one. So I have a website for my practice, and actually my website is going to be launched within the next 2 weeks. It's going to be Core Alliance Spine and Orthopedics. Core Alliance Spine and Orthopedics, and patients will be finding me with Google marketing, spreading the word with Google, and spreading the word with other things. I am also doing social media right now. So I'm getting patients through social media. That includes Instagram, TikTok. It's spreading the word of what I'm doing, what kind of procedures that I utilize in patient care, It is educational. It talks about all the types of injuries or problems that I treat, whether it's spine problems or extremity, shoulders, hips, knees, etc. So that's a third. So we said ZocDoc, we said word of mouth, we said Google, and now it's going to be social media. And as time goes on, it will continuously expand. I consider the expansion of my practice to be dynamic. We're always looking at more avenues of using this relatively new philosophy. There's many doctors that are using video visits, Zoom calls, but very few that I know of that are using it to this extent and really giving the patient this level of choice for their care.
Yeah, and using it as their primary focus as well. It's almost just like a secondary thing that's tagged and that you sort of see later. Oh, I could have a Zoom call there.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you say about social media because I know lots of people. Obviously, everyone says, "Oh, you must be on social media and things like that." But I think a lot of doctors, a lot of healthcare professionals, they're not quite sure what to do on social media outside of the advertising element in terms of the sort of organic posting things. And you're talking about all the different things that you share. So what would be your advice to them? Because some people feel nervous about it. Some people don't like being in front of the camera. Some people just don't know what to do and don't know what to say. What made you feel like I'm just going to dive into it and it's all going to be great? And what's worked well?
Because I guess my personal philosophy is it's okay not to be great initially. It's okay. And you just accept that fact. And then but you also accept the fact that every single time you do something, whether it's social media or even medicine or even in surgery, first time you do anything, first time you drove a car, okay? How many people, when they're 17 or 18 years old, they got their license, they thought they were a great driver. And then they look back 2 years later and they said, no, I sucked. I made a lot of mistakes. That's okay. We have to accept that. And when you're doing social media or you're starting out as a doctor, you just accept the fact that I'm not going to be my very best day one. And every single time I do it, I'm going to try to be a little bit better. That does not mean that every single time you are on social media, you're going to be better, but you're going to strive to be a little bit better, just a little bit better, and just tweak it, edit the way you're speaking, edit your everything, and just observe and don't kick yourself every time you see yourself. By the way, it's not always that easy not to want to kick yourself. That's just normal. How many actors do we hear speaking about their acting experience and they say, I've never watched myself. I have never watched my own television shows or movies. We hear that a lot because honestly, we're our own worst critic. And that's okay because we want a certain amount of excellence, whatever it is. I think the key with social media or almost anything in life is just say, listen, it's okay not to be great day one, but it's not okay not to try to be a little bit better every time. Me on social media, I'm trying to expose what I'm doing, the kind of practice that I have, to people that have never seen this kind of practice or who have questions and really don't know. So there's an educational component, and a significant part of it is exposing my practice, spreading the word of my practice and how we practice medicine. And if this is the right thing, the right type of practice for a patient out there who has the kind of problems that I deal with, then that's great. That's a great service to people out there. If they don't understand what the meniscus tear is, or is an ACL tear, or why am I having pain in my neck that's shooting down to my fingers, that's a service that I'm providing. It's an educational service. The kind of treatment that I do, it's an educational service. And then it turns into a dialogue, and that's great. That's great. Now I'm providing a real service for patients. And that's enough of a reason for me to dive into the social media world.
Yeah, I love the philosophy about just trying your best, essentially. And one of the things that popped in my head was, I don't know who says the saying, but it's that if we were to speak to others in the way that we speak to ourselves, not many people would be our friends. And it goes with what you say about being the harshest critics. But yeah, it's very interesting. There is an element that you need to watch yourself back and think about, oh, how did I say this? How did I do that? How could I do it better? Um, Thinking about that, what would you say has been the hardest thing for you in your career to overcome to get that little bit better at each day?
I would say the hardest thing is to there are patients that see me on video and they're immediately apprehensive, and that's okay. My job during a doctor patient visit on video is to break through that. And that means just seeing the nuances of how they're speaking to me, seeing the nuances of are they are they will do they perceive this as a good doctor patient visit? And my job is some patients are totally ready for it from the first moment, and some patients are not. And my job is to try to ease them into that this is going to be a good or excellent patient video, patient doctor relationship. So some of the things that I do as a physician, we know what many patients complain of, right? They'll complain of the doctor didn't listen to me. The doctor didn't answer my questions. Every single patient before the visit is over is Mr. or Mrs. Smith, did I answer all of your questions? And I say it so I change the cadence of how I'm speaking. Did I answer all of your questions? So they go from, they might be rushed out, or they might be thinking that they have their own thing to do, or their meeting is over. Slow down. Did I answer all of your questions? Next thing that I do, when this call is over, we're going to be in communication. This doctor-patient visit is not over. If you come up with any questions in 1 hour or 3 hours, we're going to give you a line of communication that you can contact myself, you can contact my office, and we could continue on any question that you have within, whether it's an hour from now or 2 days from now. So now they have a interaction with a physician online. How many patients get that if they go to an office? They don't. So I can't touch your knee, I can't touch your shoulder, but I could do that. And I could answer every one of your questions before the physician-patient visit is over. And that, I think, is a significant extra, that most patients are not seeing.
Yeah, amazing to think you don't actually have to book in, go and spend another half a day just to have a few questions that were on your mind
Correct.
answered.
Correct.
So it seems that, I mean, to give a bit of context, I do loads of Zoom calls and I meet lots of different people all around the world really on Zoom, and it's about talking about what we can do and things like that. And one of the things that I find really helpful, even though it's a bit painful, is you get to watch back through them. And you should ideally, because then you can see the way that you've spoken, but also you can watch the reactions while you're not speaking, as almost a third party. And that's not something you can do when you're in your office doing consultations or meetings, for example. So it's a really powerful tool. And I'm sure that's one of the ways that you came up with thinking about the cadence that you use for speaking, making sure that you say something at the end every single time. I mean, do you watch back your consultations?
No, but
Oh,
I don't have that ability or the time. But what I do is, as I said, I see that the patients are following up. That's enough. I see the reviews, what they say. Some people are short-worded, and that's okay. 1 or 2 sentences or no sentences. How many stars did I get? How satisfied were you? You could tell me anything you want, because I might never ever see you again. Okay. So they are giving me a certain amount of stars for reviews. And every single patient is doing that. Every single patient is asked for a review. And that's just the world that we live in, that we ask for reviews all the time. So I'm assessing that by the fact that patients are following up, and and I see based on the reviews that they're giving. And for me, that is good for me right now. It's really good, and it's given me almost instant feedback of if I am able to provide the services that I want to provide.
Yeah, so powerful, I think, reviews, the consistent feedback essentially. So, okay, I'm going to ask one more question, but before we do that, I want to say a massive thank you to you for sharing everything, really. I think one of the things I found so interesting speaking with you a number of times now is the how open your mind is, sorry. You're so very open-minded, and you have a lot of energy uh, for new avenues. I mean, you call them avenues yourself. I remember even the first time we spoke, and it's not always something that you see in healthcare and medicine that much because there's so much compliance. There's sometimes fear of change and inertia can kind of set in, and that's not usually a good thing. So yeah, I've really enjoyed chatting with you. So thank you so much. I thought it might be useful for you to share if anyone wants to sort of see you on Instagram or on TikTok or learn more or maybe even send you an email. I don't know. Don't overshare if you don't want to, but feel free to let people know.
Sure, absolutely. Well, my current website is tristatespineandsportssurgery.net. But that website will be closed within about a month. My new website, and it's going to be a major launch, is Core Alliance Spine and Orthopedics. CoreAlliance Spine and Orthopedics. The American way, not the British way. Orthopedics with an E, not an AE.
Yeah.
.com. And that's going to be a major launch within the next 2 weeks. My social media is Aron, ARON, Rovner, ROVNER, MD. And as I say in every post, please be sure to follow me.
Yeah, please do. I will put the links underneath the video as well. And that's worth saying, which I always tell myself I've got to say, which is that if you've enjoyed this podcast, thank you so much for listening as well. I really appreciate it. This is one of the things I really, really enjoy doing, sorry, and I love getting the feedback. So please do like and subscribe so that we can continue to get the message out and continue to do more of this, essentially. I hope that you found it useful. So final question for you, Dr. Aron, to round off things is that if you were able to only give one piece of advice to your younger self embarking on this healthcare journey, on this medical journey, what would that be?
Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the perfect time. It will never be perfect. It will never be perfect. Think in the future, did I miss this amazing opportunity? Did I wait for perfection? The perfect time will never, ever happen. You have to think it through, make an educated assessment, and sometimes it's an educated roll of the dice, and that's okay. And it's okay to fail, but try not to fail big, try to fail in small steps, and try to take every single failure, hopefully they're mini failures, and turn them into learning experiences. So that makes a failure not a full negative. You turn it into a positive, right?
Mm.
So that would be my best advice to myself looking backwards. Don't wait for the perfect time.
Yeah,
It'll
I mean,
never happen.
I think it's a good lesson for everyone. Perfect time to start is now, they say.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
Dr. Aron, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's listening. I really appreciate it. Go and follow Dr. Aron on Instagram and TikTok and like and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Dr. Aron.
Thank you, Hugo.